Greetings. Welcome to Cyber Focus, your source for international business information. I'm your host, Ryan Craven, and our guest today is Professor Claudia Avellaneda. Claudia is professor in the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs at Indiana University. Her research focuses on municipalities in Latin America, specifically the role that mayors play in those communities. Today, she's going to give us a little bit of background on her research. We're going to ask her how the mayors potentially can impact the business community, and what are the considerations that an individual or group abroad should be aware of when looking to collaborate with these mayors. Claudia, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Ryan, very much for the invitation. This is a real honor to talk not just about my research, but also to promote other people to do business in Latin America, because this is really what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we're here for, is kind of share some of that information and that knowledge. So again, kind of speaking a little bit about your research, can you give us a little bit of background and tell us a little bit about kind of the direction and some of the implications it might have?
Excellent. So my research area relates to local governments in Latin America, although I have done also local governments in developing countries, but mainly I do it in the Latin American region, including 20 countries. My main goal is to identify what are the factors that influence municipal performance. Why I care about municipal performance? Because municipalities or local governments are actually the ones who implement all the policies and decisions made in the central government. Therefore, identifying what are the factors that both inhibit and promote implementation and performance of local governments is extremely important. Although there are many factors, political, economical, contextual, social, demographic, geographic, my main interest is to analyze what is the role that who a mayor is in the performance of the municipalities. Why? Because in the context of Latin America, the mayor performs both administrative and political role, because the figure of the city manager doesn't exist. It means that he or she is the one who decides every single aspect at the municipal level. So I care about who the mayor is, what is the background of these leaders, what is the level of education, the level of experience, the level of expertise, and the capacity in networking, because I believe that that matters to explain municipal performance across all the municipalities in the region.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you kind of share, so with the mayor performing both of those roles, there's not quite as much, I would say, checks and balances similar to what we have here. You know, we have the city council and all the other departments of the administration that tie into that. Are mayors in Latin America typically appointed for longer terms?
Okay, very good question, Ryan. Actually, it varies country by country. So, for example, in the case of Brazil, mayors are elected for a 4-year period. In the case of Colombia, they are also elected for a 4-year period. And some countries allow for immediate re-election. Other countries do not allow for immediate re-election. They have to step down at least one period and then they can run for re-election. There are other countries that allow for infinite re-election. So that is the case, for example, of Honduras and also in El Salvador. So in some countries, actually, most of them, they have the city council. And these city councils are also elected in concurrent elections with the mayors. So these city councils might be part of the party of the mayor, or they might be just from opposition parties. In those cases, indeed, there is check and balances. However, there are other countries in which actually the vote and the local level is just a single vote. So when you vote for the mayor, immediately you are voted also for the members that will come with him to the city council. In that case, so there is no checks and balances.
Sure. And yeah, I'm sure it varies from region to region and country to country. Absolutely. So kind of in your research, having the, what were some of the, have you identified some of the qualities that make a successful or a mayor that can implement some positive change?
Very good question. We would like to generate a generalizations, yeah, and to say, well, it applies to every single context. I have done research so far in Chile, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, Colombia, Honduras, Guatemala, and now I'm doing it in Nicaragua. And unfortunately, what works in one place doesn't work in other contexts. That's why context matters, you see? One of the things that actually matters is whether there is re-election or not. Usually what I have found is when the mayor no longer is going to be in office in the next period, the performance tends to decline. Why? Because they don't have the motivation to convince again the voters that he needs to do well. So I noticed that in countries that allow for two-period election, and the last year of the two-period election, the performance declines. So electoral cycle matters for performance. Another thing that matters is the networking capacity of the mayor, because usually those municipalities do not have the resources necessary to implement all the things or responsibilities that they have been assigned. Therefore, having connections in the state and the national level is very important for them. So we have seen that actually some mayors that they tend to use more an outward managerial approach instead of an inward managerial approach, they tend to be more successful in collecting extra revenue resources. Now, collecting extra revenue resources doesn't mean that this is a good performance. It depends how you use that money. But the point is, if the resources actually are necessary to implement or to deliver more services, actually networking is key in order to get more extra revenues.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes complete sense from my perspective as well. So the mayor being just such a strong presence in all of these municipalities, the administrative side, political side. I mean, they're clearly kind of one of the point figures. Kind of what influence or impact does the quality of the mayor have on the business community within their municipalities?
Excellent. That is a very good question, Ryan. Mayors can impact the economies in a very large scale. For example, they can promote the creation of cooperatives. Each municipality is characterized by a particular sector of the economy. It could be agriculture, it could be industrial, it could be tourism, anyway. But the mayor actually can manage that, promote the creation of cooperatives among all the farmers, for example, that are producing that particular or contribute to that particular sector. How they can do that? They can even partner with another municipality or other municipalities to create, for example, association of municipalities that produce coffee. By creating this association of municipalities for that particular agricultural product, actually they are promoting the economy, because in doing that, they are taking advantages of economies of scale. And through that, they can find more opportunities for the business sector. So the business sector actually can also partner with the public sector. And mayors are eager to partner with the private sector, because they don't have all the equipment, they don't have all the technology, they don't have all the knowledge that is necessary. So they can benefit from this asymmetric knowledge or contribution in order to create something. However, it is important that the private sector manage this in a very transparent way, that the community actually knows what is going on and what they are planning to do. I'm talking about municipalities in Latin America that usually have less than 10,000 population or even less than 20,000 population. 70% of the municipalities in Latin America only have less than 10,000 population. It means that whatever is going on, everyone is going to learn about it because these are very small communities. So it is important for the business to partner with the community. And one important factor is that in Latin America, personal interactions matter a lot. I will say that this is the most important factor that a business needs to know. The mayor likes to be named, called by his first name. Mr. Mayor or Mr. Luis, I would like to know how can we contribute to your society. Also, business has to involve the priest of the religious community because in most of the Latin American countries, they still have 90% of Catholic people. Therefore, religions matters a lot. And you see that actually the structure of the municipality is the main town of the city has the church, the Catholic church. It has the municipality, and it has the business, the bank, and any other houses. So this is central for the business community to learn about that. Another good approach that I will suggest is to approach the mayor by saying, how can we help with? Instead of showing that they are just getting something out of the community. Yes, usually when I do research and I have to collect the data at the municipal level, I never show up at the municipality without anything in my hands. I bring even ink for all the printer machines. I bring pencils, I bring pens, I bring paper, anything that helps them to do administration. So that is important for the business community to take into account. But there are many other ways. The mayor, for example, has the opportunity to say, okay, you want to establish business here? The municipality has land that actually can be rented to you for you to start the business. Another opportunity is that the mayor might say, okay, I'm going to help the farmers or to locate them in a particular area so they can sell their products, or they can come here and to collect the products from all the farmers, and then we do continue the supply chain by creating infrastructure, how to deliver these products to other sectors, because that is one of the main problems, that the farmers can produce many things, but they don't have the means to convert those raw materials into a larger process or a more infrastructure process that they can be sold in other areas. So the mayor has many opportunities. Another way that the mayor has is, for example, many countries have something that is called the National Training Office. So the mayor can actually outreach these training offices and to say, I would like your office or your agency to come to my community and to teach people how to process something, how to bake, how to manufacture something. So, but that is only initiative by the mayor. If the mayor is proactive, he can actually outreach and to create the right infrastructure for these teachers to come to their municipalities and to offer these free learning workshops to communities.
Yeah, and it sounds like based on all of that information and description, almost the mayor's role is creating a lot of those partnerships and relationships, absolutely, which is supremely important, but also to make sure, even while you're inviting private business into the area, into development, but making sure that there is the community is well represented and the community needs are met first versus specifically the business needs.
Exactly. And also the business sector has to partner with the city council members. They are very powerful because the mayor can accept something without having the support of the city council members. So they have to express very well what are the benefits that the community will receive if they are accepted into that community. Another opportunity that I will suggest is there are many NGOs already established in each community. So probably the business sector can also enter through this partnership with the NGOs, or they can use already the knowledge that the NGO has in order to capitalize and what else can be done, you see?
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes sense. It seems like, again, like, the NGOs and the community and the pillars of the community are really a lot of the drivers of business and relationships, more so than, say, individuals within that community. And so, um, partnering and using those resources available and funneling support to those groups will ultimately help your own business and help yourself kind of get established as well.
Excellent. And actually, I will suggest to the private sector that a good means to have a bigger outreach will be to identify what are the association of municipalities in each country. And based on that, knowing how many members, how many municipalities belong to one association, and probably to outreach directly the association, because each mayor is the representative to the association. So if the private sector talks to the association, already many municipalities are getting the information. And if it helps the entire association of municipalities, for sure they will accept any proposition or whatever the business sector. So I will say that probably this is a very good channel in order to have a better outreach through association of municipalities, or even in each country, there is a national association of municipalities. So the private sector can probably outreach first the National Association of Municipalities and to ask for support from them, and then to go to the regional level to identify a specific regional association of municipalities.
Thank you. That makes complete sense. I've had similar conversations and talks with, featuring other regions and other areas around the world, and it's almost a common theme that, it's not on the business to show up and, hey, I have this great thing, you need to buy it. It's very much more approaching it from capacity or relationship building. Hey, this is a product I think will help you and your community. Let's find a way to partner versus, this is what I have, you should buy it. Hey, this is what I have, let's find a way to make this a mutual relationship between all of us involved.
Exactly. Even if they are offering to sell a particular equipment, well, let's offer training, free training for people to learn not just how to manage the equipment, but how to fix the equipment in case that this is needed. So in that way, it feels that this is a transaction that both are going to benefit, to provide knowledge, and you provide, the business sector will provide the equipment. So that would be the best way to do that. Yeah. And also consider that we are talking about very small municipalities. In those cases, small municipalities are not going to invest in a very large equipment, but the Association of Municipalities can do it because they will take advantage of the economies of scale.
Yeah, and then they can share some of that. If you're training local um, people in how to use it, how to repair it, like you mentioned, that information is easier to get crowdsourced out and around as well. You might have that piece of equipment might be used in the association in another municipality, but they might not have the people trained in how to repair it. And so, you can collaborate in that way as well.
Mm-hmm. And another opportunity will be also to offer more alternatives. Instead of selling, probably it could be leasing agreements. That would be also an opportunity, because in that way they will have access to the equipment, but they don't need to invest this huge capital in order to get it.
Sure, absolutely. Are there any other considerations that, an individual or group looking to kind of bring business or, invest in those municipalities, looking to collaborate with the mayors? What are some of those considerations above and beyond some of the stuff that you've shared? We've got some great information. But
again, I want to emphasize the importance of personal interactions. Indeed, now that I have done research a lot, I do not rely on email because they do not like to reply emails. Maybe in the national level or in the capital level, but not in small municipalities. They relied more on personal phone calls or personal visits. Of course, now because of COVID, we can't do that. But you have to create first this personal interaction by inviting them to breakfast, to lunch, or even to have just a simple drink. You need really to establish that personal interaction first before establishing business. That is the trust that they really need to have first in order to do something else. So I can't emphasize that enough. And also to identify still this is a society that relies more on connections. And so if you can find someone that already has a lot of trust in the community, so probably the private sector can use that person in order to introduce them to the municipality. And another thing that I will emphasize is just consider the geographic differences. So while in other countries, transportation is considered always as given, that is not the case in very remote areas. So what we might offer in one municipality actually is not applicable to others because of distance and remoteness. And even I remember one time asking my students, how can we generate more education at the municipal level when there are not schools locations? And one student said, well, we just rent a helicopter and we can just transfer a student from one place to the other. Well, if you have to rent an helicopter, with that money, you can actually build a classroom. So it's knowing the context is extremely important, that not all the roads might be paved, that these demographics are different. There are countries that have a lot of indigenous population, so you need to consider that. And there are a lot of people displaced because of violence. And so those things that need to be taken into account, knowing the context first. And what works in one city might not work in another city.
It's easy to say, oh, we just need to go down there and build more schools. Well, what's the population down there that can be teachers and has that base level of infrastructure, right? What's the utilities even look like? Is there reliable electricity, or so many factors really go in, and I think I would echo your point of where the connections and having those conversations, right? Identifying the context and finding a way for mutual benefit, and not assuming that everything will work the same way, because every community is different, and a lot of those staples that we take for granted here in the US certainly are not staples in different regions, different cities, different municipalities, really wherever you go. So taking the time and having that awareness to have those conversations is super important.
Yes, Ryan, and I can emphasize more about promoting business, private sector in Latin America in conjunction with the public sector. Given the convertibility rate between the dollar and their national currencies, investing there is extremely easy and cheap. Believe me. So they just need to have infrastructure because they don't have capital to invest. So even with $10,000, $15,000, there is so many things that you can build and you can start and generate jobs at the municipal level, and you will benefit an entire community. Because if you employ 5 people, actually means 5 families are going to benefit out of this. So I can't emphasize enough what is the importance of investing in Latin America at a local level. With $50,000, you will make marvelous things over there. It's not like here that you might need more than $200,000 in order to start business. Over there, the scale is completely different. So I strongly encourage you and to promote that, and to try it, at least to try it for 6 months, 1 year, to see how things go, and then just scale that up.
Perfect. Well, Claudia, thank you again for that information. It was fantastic, and I know our viewers will get some benefit out of it as well.
All right, and thanks to you for the opportunity to promote the region, and I believe that this is the best way to help societies to move ahead and to benefit mutually. Thank you very much.
Thanks.